Hello again, everyone. This is Joe Henches with Beyond the Chart, and this is technical analysis of the stock market today. Today is Saturday, November 15th, 2014, and this is the weekend edition. So we're going to look at the markets like we usually do, daily and weekly because of the weekend. And then we're going to look at three casino stocks that we follow and alternate every couple of weeks. So we'll look at MGM, Las Vegas Sands, and Melco Crown Entertainment. Okay, we're going to start off here with the Dow Industrials. The Dow was down 18 points on Friday. A little bit of a mixed market again on Friday. We're getting quite a bit of, consolidation in here with these doji bars and tight trading ranges here on the top. And this is the 8th day outside these Keltner channels. The 8th day at an extreme. Okay, so market never stays at the extreme, so the real question is how long is it going to take before it pulls back at least to the middle, of the band, or back to like the 21-day moving average or something, or it just rolls over and turns back down. Now, I am keeping this pattern that I'm seeing here because honestly, I'll have to decide at what point does it truly invalidate. Right now, this looks like a throw over to me. Okay. It looks like it's throwing over the top, which, typically that's not unusual to do on any type of formation when you have a triangle or that type of thing. The RSI, let's take a look at it. We're up here at, 77 on 10-day RSI is what I'm using. Other indicators are positive, but we're getting a little bit of divergence starting to come in, not confirming the last couple of days. So let's move on to the S&P. You'll see that these other indices have not gone outside the pattern that we've got drawn, this broadening top or megaphone type pattern that we've got here. And look at this. 4 dojis right in a row, which is pretty interesting. We had 3 over here in a row. And we've had stuff like this before, but again, it's like I've talked about, I feel like a broken record. You get compressed, you're going to get expansion. So, we'll see which way the expansion goes. I know I'm expecting it to pull back, but this market seems to want to do its own thing. Let's take a look at the NASDAQ. NASDAQ's a little bit different, not getting that doji type of consolidation bars in here. We got one here on Thursday, small. This is a little doji bar, but not as tight like on Thursday and what we're seeing here on the S&P 500. Let's look at the New York Composite. Similar type scenario, although again, the New York Composite is not confirming the move to the high side, at least as of this week. And the Russell 2000 had a pretty good little reversal bar on Thursday. Outside down, engulfing type of candlestick bar, coming back off of this trend line that I've talked about many times with this Russell 2000. And, it's been trying to hug this. It now had this day where it pretty dramatically pulled down away. We'll see whether we get continuation with that or not. You get that type of a move in here. A lot of times it is a sign of a reversal. Look at this kind of bar right in here. This was a much bigger engulfing type bar, but outside down type day. Okay, let's take a look at the weekly. The Dow Industrials on a weekly basis. I haven't changed the Elliott wave count on this. Some people debate, whether this was a 4th, we're in a 5th wave of some major 5 waves. I'm sticking with what I've got for now. The real crapshoot in here was this wave, this move right in here. Real choppy. You could make the case that it's a series of 3 waves up into here. And so at this point, and looks a little expanding to me in terms of this move. But the most important thing for the recent activity we're looking at, here's the last week. Look at the trading range for the last week. So we get all this big expansion come up here. And that's the other thing, as the bars get smaller, and smaller. Okay, let's see if we got, let me take a look at the indicators. Not quite, a little bit of divergence if you come all the way back to here. The divergence kind of goes away from this point. So it's not in overbought territory yet. Not seeing the divergence here on DI plus. And the demand index is definitely showing some divergence. S&P 500 weekly, again, a similar type scenario, and a mixed reading on the indicators with the divergence. Divergence on the 10-bar RSI, but on the DI plus, it's somewhat going away. So get a little bit of a mixed story there. The NASDAQ, I mean, again, this trend line from April earlier this year. So this little trend line in here, it's hugging it. Okay, it seems to be hugging it. And let's look at the indicators. And again, we're getting some divergence on the RSI. And you can make the case, let me give this. This looks a little bit, yeah, it's not, it didn't really go to a new high. If we say, what is the reading? 32, the value here, 32. So same exact for a higher close on a weekly basis. So we're getting non-confirmation on the NASDAQ on the RSI. All right, let's see. Now I want to take a look. I think, did we look at the Russell 2000 on a weekly basis? I don't think we did. Here we go. And we got the New York Composite yet too. So here's a more dramatic picture looking at the hugging of the trend line. Okay, and wow, last 2 weeks. These are weekly dojis, little doji bars. So talk about tight indecision type of trading activity. And the New York Composite on a weekly basis, again, a really tight little trading for the last week in here. And so we kind of wonder why we're not getting some follow through. A little frustrating that some of these trades and stocks aren't moving a little bit more and hitting their targets. Well, you know, the market's getting very compressed and very tight right now. Okay, let's take a look at some of the indicators. Short-term trading index, the 10-day is at literally at 1.00, so it's not doing anything. It's right in the middle, not at an extreme. The CBOE volatility. Again, we started to, on Thursday, looked like we were going to break out maybe, but then it pulled back. Let me zoom up. It's because we're not getting any divergence signal there. We didn't close above the 10. We have come back, and inside day on Friday, the high-low index. This is getting a little interesting here now. It could be a little bit of a prelude. We're now getting 3 days where we close below the 10-day moving average. The net high-lows are 83. So that's the lowest reading of the last several weeks. Okay, the last 13 days, lowest day of the last 13 days, so almost 3 weeks worth of trading. And so, you know, several closes. The 10 is about to break below the 21. Here's the 21-day moving average up in here. It's coming right into here. So we're over here. The last time this kind of scenario happened, here's 1, let's see, 2, 3. Here's 3 days below the 10, and the 10 about to break the 21. Now that happened, that day was September 8th. Now what's interesting about that is, and then you notice how the new highs, new lows trickled on down, and the moving averages crossed and they went down here. Well, September 8th, the market still pushed to a new high after that. So if we go to September, here we go, here's September 8th. So what happens is it's moving down, and then we get this move, and then this little move here is like a non-confirmation move. Let me go back to the high-low. So, you know, you didn't, you know, when did that happen? When was the 16th? Okay, so the market high was on the 16th. That was this day. So you see what happens is the market then turns and pushes to a new high, and it gets, you know, it's totally not being confirmed by the high-low index at all. So it's going to be interesting to watch for that kind of scenario. Do we get a similar type scenario, you know, as that? Let's see. The next thing, oh, I wanted to look at the high yield bond fund. And at first, I was really kind of wondering about these 2 days, and I double checked. I thought, okay, is this my data or what? But I double checked another couple of sources, and the intraday highs on these 2 days, those were the accurate readings. So there's some bizarre little spike trading that occurred on the 30th and on the 23rd in this high yield bond fund, HGY, I think it is HYG. That's high yield HYG. Okay. So the interesting thing I'm noting here is when the moving averages crossed for this. Now, granted, we actually had a couple of days below the 10. The 10 crosses the 21 right here, September 5th. Kind of a prelude, okay? They crossed July 3rd, a little bit of a prelude. They have now crossed as of Thursday. Okay, so this is going to be really interesting to watch. So that's why I think we're on a little bit of alert based on what I'm seeing here with the high yield fund, kind of the risk off mode sign, and then the fact that what we're seeing with the the high low index. So there's just a couple of things that are just popping up. So we're kind of watching that and paying attention to that now. And let's see the volatility index, and I think that's it on the indicators. The equity put to call ratio hasn't hardly changed much. The 10-day I think is like around 0.62, so not yet at an extreme. All right, let's jump in. Oh, we had a few of these other ETFs I want to take a look at. Semiconductor ETF. Still, it's kind of playing out this same pattern, this broadening top pattern, but it's not up here, and it hasn't confirmed and got above this point yet. So maybe we're going to get that. Maybe we won't. We'll have to watch. It hasn't rolled over yet. The home builders. Okay, the home builders is pushed above this point here, but seemed like, oh, I know the thing I remember about this. I thought it was interesting. I looked back and I zoomed back out of this, and this low point came almost exactly to this low point. So I thought, okay, well, let me just draw a trend line across. And if you back on out of this, yeah, it might be a little bit of a stretch, but again, I'm a pattern type of guy, so I'm always looking for things and looking to see if they'll play out. This scenario. So I'm looking to see, because of this sharp rise and because of this sharp zigzag pullback in here, it gives a little bit of the symmetry to it. And I kind of like the way this has a little bit of a rounding effect, And so I'm really watching this to see whether or not this starts to now peter out in here, or does it take out this high? Let me go back to the mouse, and we'll go back. The other thing that's interesting is that we now have the home builders index with the 55 breaking below the 233-day moving average. So the longer term. Some people are, a lot of people are using the 200-day versus the 50-day. That's fine, whatever you want to use. But the bottom line is the longer term trend looks like it's breaking down. Yeah, we got this snapback rally, but we need to watch to see if you draw a parallel line. Take the parallel line up to here. Let's make it a dotted just to make it a little easier to see. Well, you're almost making a case that it's pretty close to the same height where this was right over here. Now, this is a lot of activity. That would be a very big head and shoulders top. So I grant you that. We'll just have, it's something, again, I happen to notice, putting it on the radar. I'll just keep watching it. And let's see, the other thing is the financial ETF. And again, this thing is playing out similarly to the way the Dow, the SPX, in terms of this broadening top. Now, if we start to get closes below the 10 and we start to get this thing rolling back down, then that to me is going to be a sign. Now, there's always a possibility you pull this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you pull a 5A. Where you come down, you come back up. That would confirm like an M-top type scenario that you get up in here. So we'll have to watch for that. All right, let's take a quick look now. That's it on the ETFs for today. Let's take a look at the 3 casino stocks. Las Vegas Sands. The casino stocks have been trying to turn. I mean, we've been getting bullish divergence back in here. The trend indicator has gone sideways, you know, in terms of the ADX. You could see how the ADX, this narrow line right up here, peaked. And whenever it's going down, it means you're in a non-trending scenario. So literally, Las Vegas Sands has not been trending since back here in early September. So right back in here. So all of this moves is really a non-trending move. It's trying to go sideways. It's trying to get its legs underneath it. The real question is it doing that? I mean, it's sure trying. I'm trying to see a pattern that makes sense. It made this move here, very sharp move here, ran into resistance at this point here, okay? Partially closed the gap, didn't fully close this gap. And now we got this little move going on here. You've broken a little trend line. It broke this trend line down here, got support. You know, we were in this move. I can't remember. I think we got in right around in here, and then, you know, we're fortunate to get out right in here. And so now you got this little move popping up here. I just have a hard time getting a reading on Las Vegas Sands now. We just have to continue to watch it, knowing that it's trying to get its legs underneath it. The only thing I'm very cautious about is, the trend. The 55 is down. You know, it's below the 233, and the 55 is trending and hasn't flattened yet. The 21 is still slightly below it. It's not above it yet. So, you know, all the trends are still to the downside. The next one we'll take a look at is MGM. MGM is similar. All 3 casino stocks are very, very similar. Okay, it made a move about the same time up in here. The thing that bothered me a little bit about this move in here is the volume really dropped off. Okay, the volume really dropped off, and then we got, you know, a spike move back down to the downside. And now you got this trend line, which is kind of a tight little move here. And the volume, again, is flat, not even close to 50-day moving average. The volume is very, very flat on a rising little move. So this is making me very suspicious, and I'll be watching to see if it starts to roll over. The next one is Melco Crown. And Melco also is, you know, they're all trying to, you know, make a little bit of a bottom in here. And the real question is, are they going to be able to, or whether this, you know, because there's been divergence, and, you know, there's no doubt been divergence, but they also continued to push to the downside slightly. And again, just like the other stocks, the ADX has been going down since mid-September. So that means it's non-trending. There's no trend in place. So all of this move in through here is a non-trending type move, sideways type action, which, you know, again, becomes choppy. You know, it's hard to get any kind of decent play out of it. So now the one thing I am noticing here, when we draw this little trend line here, we've kind of pulled right back up to it, and it hasn't broken above it yet. And it's closed this little gap that occurred right in here. Okay, so now I can draw another little trend line here, and you know, given, let me zoom back out, and again, the volume not quite as dramatic as on MGM, but the volume has dropped off some last few days, well below the 50-day moving average on this. So again, we'll have to watch to see. I mean, DI plus is positive. There are some positive things. I mean, the demand index has gone positive. DI plus is greater than DI minus. Let's see where the RSI, you know, the RSI is greater than 50. So, you know, it is trying to push in this little move. Let me break it. Let me blow it up. So we'll just have to watch to see. It doesn't, you know, it doesn't make me want to jump in and buy calls on this little scenario. It's just not clear enough for me. So, but we'll watch to see what happens here on Melco. So that's our little bit of an update on the casino stocks, and we'll check back in with them again in 2 weeks unless there's a specific trade idea that develops. All right, that's it for today. This has been Joe for Beyond the Chart. If you felt like the video was helpful, please share it on social media. And if you're not a subscriber, subscribe. It gives you access to the Trade Ideas webpage, and got a free PDF for you, and you can get updates as to when I have new posts. I'll be back tomorrow with the trade ideas for the coming week. We'll take a look at what for the last week and then look to see, do we have any for the coming week. All right, this has been Joe for Beyond the Chart. Everyone have a great weekend. We'll talk to you on the next video.